Hello, everybody, and welcome to Bill and Frank Eat Pop Culture. I am Frank, and with me, as always, is Bill. Bill, it's been a minute.
It's been a little bit.
I feel like I'm like a little rusty. I feel like I got some ring rust.
Well, I mean, gotta run the ropes, knock off the rust.
Gotta callus up the back again. So, we took a little hiatus. We took a week. We went from like 3 releases in 7 days to a little R&R, kind of recharge our creative pop culture eating batteries. You ready to go? You ready to get it on?
Yeah, we got a lot of stuff going on in the world of pop culture. A lot of stuff in wrestling, a lot of stuff in movies.
So, before we get into like the meat and potatoes of this show, there's a couple things I wanted to talk to you about.
You pissed off a celebrity.
I did. Well, yeah, if you can call him a celebrity. A moderate. So I got in my first like Twitter heat with a, moderate celebrity this past weekend. So, anybody that knows me knows that I'm a huge Deadpool mark. Not like a new Deadpool mark. Like I've been a Deadpool mark since the Joe Kelly run, like and before, right? So I've always been a Deadpool fan. I've read every issue of the ongoing series, every iteration of it. I have multiple Deadpool statues strewn across my home.
You have a Deadpool commission.
I do. That is true. I have a Deadpool commission. And, so I think Deadpool is a character that's important to the world of comics. Yes, the movies are great with Ryan Reynolds, but Deadpool is an important character to the world of comics because he brings a level of levity to comics that doesn't make the book campy or cheesy. It's part of the character. It's ingrained in who the character is.
He's the only character he's the only one that's been really successful breaking the fourth wall in an organic way.
That's a good way to put it. Like his comedy and his breaking the fourth wall, it's very organic and it works.
Right.
I can honestly say to this point, there hasn't been a run on the Deadpool book that I disliked.
Okay.
That is until Skottie Young took over the book.
And when did that happen?
So they just had issue 15. So let's say a year and a few months ago.
Gotcha.
So for those of you who don't know who Skottie Young is, and I'm going to assume there's plenty of you, where Scottie's name got big was he draws, and you're going to love this, he draws variant covers, and on his variant covers, the Marvel characters are always babies.
Okay.
So he draws baby versions of Marvel characters on variant covers. So I'm not really familiar with any of his other work except that. So somebody at Marvel, and this goes back, and I'm sure Johnny Beaver could talk on this for hours, but somebody at Marvel said, hey, this guy draws babies for variant covers. Let's give him Deadpool.
Yeah, that doesn't seem like a great idea.
Coming off of a very successful, well-liked Jerry Duggan run, one of the hottest IPs at Marvel right now.
Sure.
Standing on its own as a character. So they give him to this Skottie Young, and I got to tell you, from the beginning of the run to the end of the run, I thought the book, it was a slog. Reading Deadpool was a slog. I didn't laugh once. I didn't understand where the story didn't go anywhere. There was no like underlying plot. It was just really, really shitty. Bill, did you read any of his run?
No, I did not.
Okay. Don't waste your time.
I will not.
So this past weekend, so Deadpool's one of those books, like, I get it. I like with Batman, right? So I get my Batman book, I get my Deadpool books. They're always the first books I read. They go right to the top of the stack. I've been sitting on Deadpool 15 for a little while. because it's just I don't enjoy it anymore. So I finally read it and I closed it, and I couldn't believe how fucking happy I was that it was over. So I went to Twitter and I made a comment about how shitty I thought the run was, and that, Skottie Young, I believe my words were, should fuck off.
I think it was actually wasn't it go fuck yourself?
I think it was like, go back to drawing babies and fuck off or something.
Very clear. Very clear.
Yeah, like it didn't leave anybody wondering where I sat with my opinion of the series. So, Bill, how would you describe Skottie Young's reply? You're good with words. You scored very highly in English on your SATs. How would you describe his reply?
Very ambivalent.
See, that's perfect.
Before you keep going, I want our readers to hear verbatim what you tweeted. I have it right here.
Okay.
I've read every issue of DP since the beginning. I can honestly say this was my least favorite run. In fact, it was a steamy pile of dog shit, and I am so happy it's over. Go back to drawing babies and fuck off. # Marvel Comics. It's a good hashtag.
I tagged Skottie Young, right?
No. I mean, at least not on... Oh, yeah, you did.
Okay.
You did. I didn't see the top of it. A quick word, Skottie Young's run on Deadpool.
Okay. That's right. All right, so ambivalent, I think, is a good word. So why don't you read his reply?
Okay, here's Skottie Young's reply to...
Now, I just publicly shit on something he's been working on for a year.
Yeah, you called it a pile of dog shit and told him to fuck off. He wrote back, "Dang, I honestly might see if we can use this as a pull quote. I might use this as a pull quote on all my books. Hopefully you'll dig what Kelly and Chris are cooking up. It's big and awesome." So he really didn't sell. He no-sold the insult and then attempted to turn it into promotion for the next writer taking over. I mean, sort of amazing. I feel like maybe he was high or something. I don't know.
You just got yanked. I'm speechless. I mean, you just got yanked off of one of Marvel's top IPs after 15 issues, after Disney got the rights to the character, and that's your response? Like, how about no response?
I don't know. You know what? I mean, I'm almost impressed. Like, it's almost impressive. Like, I feel like he probably should take it a little more seriously, but there's a certain amount of respect given to, like, I'm going to do what I do, and if people don't like it, I don't care. And that includes the people at Marvel. If they don't like what I'm doing on Deadpool and they take me off the book, fine. I'm still going to do what I do. There's a certain amount. I mean, I think it's crazy, but also, a little bit of like, well, I mean, he's sticking to his guns. They may be shitty guns, but he's sticking to them.
Shitty guns.
Shitty guns.
Name of the episode. So, I don't know. I guess I just feel like when that's what you do for a living, shouldn't you care what your customers think? Shouldn't you care what the people who are putting food on the table for your family think? Because if you don't, you're not going to be able to put food on the table very long. I don't get this. And he's not the only one out there that's like that nowadays. I don't get it. And I'm glad he's off the book. I mean, if I was Marvel, I wouldn't let him touch another thing.
I mean, you can go back to, obviously there's a segment of the population that likes the baby variant covers. You can just go back to doing that.
Pivot to
that was a Friends reference.
I know.
Okay.
Actually, that episode was just on the other day.
I'm actually off topic, but I'm actually right in the middle of binge watching, doing a complete Friends rewatch.
I think they hold up.
Actually, I do too. I was just talking to John Beaver about this. Like, it's very much the same as Seinfeld. Like, the music is dated, the hair is dated, some of the technology is dated, but the writing is strong enough to hold up. I mean, it gets a little spotty towards the very end, and the first season is pretty rough, but it's really a good show. And it's amazing that, like, the Ross and Rachel storyline is what catapulted it into the stratosphere. But I actually think when the show pivots away from Ross and Rachel and brings everybody else more front and center, it gets better.
Oh, I agree 100%. I to this day, I think it's one of the best sitcoms. I know it's probably not a popular opinion, but
it's in my top, probably somewhere between 5 and 7.
Yeah, and listen, I know a lot of it's like nostalgia because like when I think of Friends, I think of like sitting in the dorm room with you watching it.
Yeah.
Or, you know.
But I mean, I'm watching it right now. This is the first time I've watched it in order, literally since it aired.
So where are you?
I'm in season 7.
See, that's where it's like really, really good.
Yeah, I really found myself. So I'd said this to John, and now we're totally off on a rabbit hole here. But I said this to John that the big thing I'm taking away this time is like when I watched it when it was on the air, my favorites were the guys, Chandler, Joey, Ross, who I thought were the funniest. Now watching it again, I think Courtney Cox and Jennifer Aniston's comedic abilities are, at least I sort of tremendously underrated them. They're both really good. Jennifer Aniston in particular is awesome at reactions. Like she's very subtle, more subtle than I remembered.
That's a very 2019 point of view.
Right? Because like I feel like when it was on, like Chandler was the breakout star because of the way he spoke, which is sort of normal now, but back then, like doing the could I be wearing, whatever, the way he spoke, I felt like he was the breakout.
Be wearing any more clothes?
Right. And then Joey, it's actually watching the first season again, like Joey is really not likable. And they really reworked everybody.
Yeah, when they just make him, they change him into just a complete buffoon.
Yeah, right.
So
I don't know how we got there.
Well, I said pivot.
Right. Pivot.
So
it's probably the greatest outtake in TV history.
It's so funny. So pivoting to defecating at work.
Well, it's not even that much of a pivot. You shit on Deadpool, and now you're going to talk about shitting for real.
See, Bill, this is why you're one of the best at do it.
Right.
So I'm in a new building at work, right? We got a brand new office, completely remodeled. And one of the things I was most excited for was the bathroom. Because if you recall, in my last office, I had the toilet shifting situation.
Right, the commode shifting.
Right.
Where you left the log.
Right. So I was very excited our first day in there to get into the bathroom, grab a stall, and just let it go. You know what I mean?
Yep, sure.
So I get in there, have my cup of coffee, the mood strikes me, I make my way, I'm amped.
Coffee does its job.
Coffee does its job like it always does. I get into the stall, I sit down, and bang, my knees slam up against the toilet paper dispenser. So, those big toilet paper dispensers in public bathrooms that hold like 17 rolls of toilet paper?
Yeah.
It's right. Like, I don't think they put it high enough. So, in order to sit on the toilet, you have to I have to sit at like 2:00. Okay.
Okay.
So, which is not comfortable because the toilet's not shaped to sit at 2:00.
No, definitely
right?
not.
No.
That would be weird.
So I was like immediately disappointed, just so bummed out. I'm like, ugh. Because like one of my favorite things to do at work is escape to the bathroom and just have like a nice long shit.
Yeah, me too. I feel like every guy is like that.
So this has been taken away from me. Maybe it's on purpose. I don't know. So the other day I'm sitting at 2:00 and there's somebody in the stall next to me. I mean, and our feet are probably 8 inches apart because I'm at 2:00, right?
Yep.
So I look down and I noticed that my name tag, like my badge with my picture on it,
yeah,
is like face up, pretty much like under the stall wall. So this guy in the stall next to me, first of all, knows who's next to him now. Like it's me. Right. And he's shitting with my face looking at him and smiling. So I'm like, what do? Do I leave the badge there? Or do I go down and pick it up and stick it in my pocket or something?
I feel like he saw it. I would have left it.
Yeah, so I left it the first time. Now every time I go in there, so now it's like there's like steps now to go into the bathroom. I go in, I take off my badge, put it in my pocket, sit down, turn to 2:00. I'm gonna be honest, it's the least enjoyable pooping experience I've ever had.
I'll tell you though, as far as the badge thing, I know when I'm in the stall and somebody comes and sits in the stall next to me at work, I generally know who it is by their shoes.
Well, I look at their shoes and then I walk around the office and try to figure out who it was.
Right. Like my work is not that you wear like a shirt and tie and stuff, right?
Yeah.
My work is not as formal. So like there's all kinds of different shoes. Even sneakers are fine. So you generally are able to match the shoe to the person pretty easy.
So like the guy wearing the Bo Jacksons, you know who that is.
Right.
All right, Bill, enough chit chat. We got a lot to talk about, so let's start the show. All right, Bill, so I know that last weekend was it 2 weekends ago? I can't quite remember. Was a big weekend for you because Chapter 2 came out, which all of our Bill and Frankie Pop Culture true fans know that that's one of your favorite books of all time, and also that you were such a huge fan of the Tim Curry television version.
Yes.
So you went and saw it, correct?
I did. It was 11 days ago exactly. And it's not only one of my favorite, it's my favorite standalone novel in existence. If you take series, things change around, but as far as one standalone book, it's my favorite.
What did you think of the movie?
Well, I'm super biased. So like I knew I was going to love it even before I saw it, if that makes any sense. But I will say that I would have watched it if it were 7 hours long. But the people that are saying it probably could have maybe had 10 or 15 minutes taken out of it, I understand where they're coming from. It's a 2 hour and 50-minute movie. It's almost 3 hours long. It's a lot for horror movies are almost never that long. That being said, I didn't mind it. It was strangely more gory than the first movie, but less scary. But I thought it was a little more emotional, which, it hit you in the feels a little bit more. It was cast really well. Nobody was bad. Bill Hader, though, puts the movie in his pocket and walks away with it. He just steals every scene he's in.
Yeah, I heard that.
He was the breakout. I mean, I even read today that they're mounting an Oscar push for him for supporting actor, which I feel like I would keel over if that happened. But he was really good. Jessica Chastain is always
Who's he
reliable.
play?
He plays Richie.
Is that the kid who's always on medications?
No, that's Eddie. Richie is Finn Wolfhard from Stranger Things. He played the young version of him.
Oh, okay.
He was, and strangely enough, was played by Seth Green in the TV version from 1990. Young Seth Green. He's generally the comic relief. And
that's right. That's right.
And Hader nails he injects the humor at the exact.
Yeah, he's the one that says like beep beep Eddie, right?
Exact beep beep Richie. That's what Tim Curry said to me when I met him. He said beep beep Bill, which I almost fell over. But yeah, he injects the humor at the exact right moment. And one of the relationships that they nailed best from the book to the screen is the relationship between Richie and Eddie, who's the one that takes all the medications. They did a great job with that in the first chapter as kids, and they did a great job nailing that in the second chapter. So I thought it was a little more emotional, a little less scary. I thought they actually could have used Pennywise a little more than they did in chapter 2, especially sort of like non-CGI Pennywise. They didn't have enough of him just sort of being the clown. And they did the best they could. I mean, Andy Muschietti is a great director. He did what he could to try to adapt the crazy sort of abstract metaphysical ending of the book. There's a lot of Stephen King mythology that they cut out of the movies. They didn't get into the macroverse and the turtle and all that stuff.
In the prim and all that.
Right, exactly. But they did have the Ritual of Chud, which they which they had the smokehouse and all that stuff. And it did come down to the essence of the end of the book is the Losers Club willpower stronger than its, and that element came through, even if it didn't come through exactly the way King describes it in the book, which is, for those of you that have read the book, it has to do with the fighting it on a metaphysical plane where you're biting down on his tongue and it's willpower and all. It's impossible to visually adapt. So I thought they did a pretty good job. I mean, some people are going to say parts of it were cheesy, and I get there is a spider again involved. So, I'll get it if people think parts of it were cheesy, but I thought he did the best he could with a really hard adaptation.
Did they go to a metaphysical plane?
Kind of. Not as much as, like in the book, Bill and Richie in particular go into the Deadlights and fight him sort of in that space. That doesn't really happen in the movie. It takes place more in the real world. They put their willpower and their belief against his belief, against Pennywise's belief or its belief. So, they try to keep it more grounded in the real world and less abstract, which I understand because they have to play to the larger audience, the more broad audience.
Yeah. Plus, how do you open up that door to all that King mythology?
Right. Exactly.
I mean,
pulling in all the stuff, he layers in so much stuff in his books that connects to other books. Like, you kind of have to cut that stuff out. They did drop a couple nice Easter eggs in there for keen-eyed viewers, and Mr. King himself has a extended cameo in this one, which was really funny. And he sort of pokes fun at himself and the criticism that he can't write endings very well. They have a fun little back and forth with that.
Give me some of the Easter eggs. Well,
I mean, there's a couple sort of turtle drop-ins, kind of like there was in the first one. And then a couple cool Easter eggs where, a couple of the actors that played the kids in the 1990 TV show pop up in small roles, which is fun. But, that it's mostly that kind of stuff, not really crazy King mythology Easter eggs. They kind of stayed away from that.
Did you like it more or less than the first part?
I like the first part better, marginally. They're both really good. But I thought the first one was a little scarier. Pennywise was in it more. And there's just something more creepy about Pennywise hunting kids than adults. It's less scary when they're adults for some reason. I still think, I love the way Andy Muschietti did this. It was a great 2-part. I still think the story is best told the way King told it in the novel, where it's the adults and kids intercut the whole way through, rather than one chapter kids, one chapter adults. Both the TV show and this re-release did it kids first, adults second, and then there's flashbacks in the second part. But I think it's better. It would be better told the way you read it, where it's, you're getting both the whole way through. Muschietti did come out and say that he's planning a 6-hour supercut of the movie with everything happening concurrently, which I'm really curious to see. That'll be included in the digital release.
So give it a rating. Maz rating.
I'm going to give the second part a 7.5. I gave the first part a 9. So let's say for, the whole story combined, it's probably 8.5, which is pretty good.
Do you prefer the original television version?
I do. Even though it's not nearly as bloody and Pennywise is much more of a clown in that one than he is a monster. I think it's probably because I watched that when I was 10 years old and it scared the shit out of me. But I still think that miniseries does a better job, in particular with the kids, at getting across the feeling of the novel. But don't get me wrong, I love them both.
So there's a rumor that there's going to be a third part?
Yeah, that came out like yesterday or the day before, where I think somebody asked Bill Skarsgård, who plays Pennywise, if he had talked about a chapter 3. And he said, yes, there's an idea out there, but it's completely not based on anything King ever wrote. Or maybe it's a little bit based on in the book. You really get a sort of a detailed. You see, what happened when it came to Earth. So there was an idea. There's an idea floating around, I guess, for sort of a prequel about Pennywise and I guess first settling under Derry. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. I kind of prefer them to stick to what King wrote, but obviously I'd still go see it.
I mean, if they did that, wouldn't they have to talk about the Prim and some of the mythology? How would they do that and
Unless
make it interesting?
Just have it, it crashed here from space or whatever, or from somewhere.
So in these movies, Bill, where do they say he's from?
They don't really say. And they get into it. They get into it in chapter 2 a little bit. They don't get into it in chapter 1 at all. But in chapter 2, they do say that he came to Earth many, many thousands of years ago before there were even people. It's been underneath Derry, since forever. He first started terrorizing like Indians that were settled in this area, in the main area.
Native Americans.
Sorry. But they don't really get into like the fact that he has an adversary and all that stuff. So I don't know whether if they did a prequel, whether it would be like when he first comes to Earth or just him sort of terrorizing early Derry. It could be there. I mean, there's a lot of ways they could go with it. I'm not sure that I'd do that, but
when they get down into his lair and into his shit, like, did they have the markings for the Crimson King?
Yes. Yeah, the Crimson King marking is on the door.
Get the fuck out of here.
Which was really cool.
Did you pop?
Yeah. And there was no reaction from the theater, except for me.
Doesn't it make you angry?
A little bit, but what are you going to do? I'm just happy that they both, I mean, the number 1 and number 2 highest grossing horror movies of all time are going to be It Chapter 1 and It Chapter 2, which is pretty cool.
So, a movie that I'm very excited about, and I'm probably going to go see this weekend. Oh boy, hey, is Joker.
Well, you're gonna have a hard time seeing it this weekend.
Oh wait a minute, is it next weekend?
October 4th.
Right. Okay. Anyway,
you know what? I take that back. It may come out limited. It'll probably be like New York and LA, but you're relatively close to New York. You could do that.
I can make that shot.
You can make that trek.
But, well, next weekend, whatever. I'm super excited about it.
Me too. I don't even know if I'm excited. I'm like right now. I'm super curious.
Well, let me tell you why I'm excited. Okay. So my two favorite comic book villains are probably Thanos and the Joker.
Yeah.
Have been since I was a kid.
You mean not the Puma?
No, not the Puma. So anything Joker, I'm intrigued.
Me too.
Although immediately let down by Jared Leto's Joker.
Yep.
Anything Joker, I'm excited.
Me too. As much as I try to never give DC a nod over Marvel, I try to say maybe Thanos or maybe Magneto is the best comic book villain ever, but it's Joker.
I'm also a huge Joaquin Phoenix fan.
Me too. God, he's good.
I just love him. I mean, he's so weird and crazy, and he's such a good actor.
He does nothing halfway.
Exactly. And the trailers for this have been so, like, I have no idea. I have no idea what to expect. Like, I don't know. And the fact that Todd Phillips is directing it.
Yeah.
It's just so strange.
And Bradley Cooper's producing it. So weird, right?
So strange to me. It's like people are saying that it's a Joker story that has nothing to do with the Joker that we know or whatever. Right? That's what they're saying. Or am I just imagining?
Yeah, that's the part that has me more like curious rather than excited, because I don't like when they don't acknowledge anything.
I'm not going to say that I would hate I'm going to hate a standalone Joker movie. Like, if the Joker's done well and it's a good story and like I can sense him being insane, and like the interactions between him and De Niro in the teaser, just the trailers just look so good.
Right, and both Thomas and Bruce Wayne are in this movie, so it's not completely separate.
Right. So it's in that universe. It's just like, what version of that universe? You know, DC always has that out too, where it's like, oh, the multiverse. So anyway, this is on like Earth, probably be on like Earth 75 or something. But have you heard anything about? I mean, like looking at the trailers, like I don't even know if the Joker does anything bad in the movie. If it's just the guy that goes nuts, like you know.
No, that's where I've read non-spoilery reviews, and apparently what separates this from sort of every other comic book movie is that there are some scenes that are really he's really disturbingly violent. Stuff that like is sort of really uncomfortable to watch. The review I read of it made me so curious, because one of the things that Joker sort of always had, even the Heath Ledger Joker, is that he's sort of like, he's a bad guy, but he's sort of cool. You know what I mean? He's funny, or he's, you know, sarcastic. And you know, Heath Ledger had stuff that made, but this guy, there's nothing, they do nothing to make him cool or nothing to make him funny. He's just, it's about a man's sort of descent into madness. You know, I have a line here that I wrote down from one of the reviews I read, which says, you know, Todd Phillips offers up some chilling moments depicting the ecstasy Joker feels when he's at his most murderous, including a show-stopping moment set to Gary Glitter's Rock and Roll Part 2. It's probably the most provocative, uncompromising American movie to be made since First Reformed. The difference being that more people will see this in a day than saw that film in its entire run. If you think with Christopher Nolan you saw the darkest version of the Batman universe, you better get ready to think again.
Wow.
So intriguing. It also says here, if anything, we're not supposed to think this guy's funny. We're supposed to be repelled by this deeply unsettling character who starts as a walking tragedy but becomes a monster beyond anyone's sympathy, with the acts he commits in this far beyond what we've ever seen in a Batman movie. It handily earns its R rating. A movie like this would never get made by a mainstream studio were it not for its roots in the Batman franchise. But it's hard to watch this and ever imagine Warner Brothers and DC folding Phoenix's version into any of their other franchise films, which is like, holy shit.
It must be really fucked up.
Yeah. And I'm curious to see whether that works. Like, do I want my Joker to be like not have that element of cool at all? I don't know the answer to that.
I don't know the answer to that either, I guess. I'm super excited to see that version of the Joker, because in the books, he's probably more towards that description than what Ledger or Nicholson were.
Yeah, Ledger was the closest to the books that we've ever gotten, I think. Certainly like the post Frank Miller version of the Joker who like thrives on chaos. Like that version of the Joker has existed in the books. But Heath Ledger still was, you know, quippy and entertaining. I feel like this guy's just going to be repellent, which is going to be really interesting to watch.
Well, this sounds to me like the Killing Joke Joker,
but even more,
or like a Death in the Family Joker, just like a sadistic. Like when you said ecstasy that he feels when he is at his most violent. I mean, that's like that immediately makes me think about when he's killing Jason Todd with the crowbar. Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people I've read are comparing this, like this movie's reminiscent of like Taxi Driver or the King of Comedy.
Oh, King of Comedy. Which is funny. Like that's the first thing I thought when I saw De Niro in it as the TV host, because that's kind of the same thing that happens in King of Comedy.
Right. And I've heard that the movie's just so uncompromising. Like it's so bleak. You know, and then there are no heroes to save you at the end, like, which is I can't wait to see it. And you know, it won the Golden Lion at the Venice Film Festival, which is no joke, man. Like that's 9 times out of 10, the winner of that film festival, if it's an American film, goes on to get a Best Picture nomination. So, I mean, apparently the only way to win awards in a comic book movie is to be the Joker.
Or be super fucking violent.
Right. But I mean, the only real, non-technical category Oscar a comic book movie has ever won is Heath Ledger for the Joker.
Could 2 people win Best Actor as the Joker?
Well, the difference here is Ledger won supporting and Phoenix would be lead. Phoenix would be lead for sure. I think he's for sure going to get a nomination. And I feel like Todd Phillips has got a shot, because one of the other things I read in this review, getting more into the nuts and bolts of filmmaking, is that like every shot of this movie is crafted with like care and dark beauty. Like Phillips has really gone all out to sort of show that he's not just the guy who directed The Hangover, which, I mean, all you got to do is watch the trailer and you know that.
So basically what you're saying is, what I'm hearing is, if I am rock hard throughout this entire movie, I should question myself as a human being.
You should get some help, I feel like. Okay. I don't think this is one you're going to be able to take Liam to, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, I don't think so. He's already asking me to.
Yeah, not going to happen.
So, Bill, that's DC. Let's go to MCU.
MCU. Pivot.
MCU?
We got a lot. We got a good amount of MCU news and notes.
Yeah, why don't you take us through it?
All right. Well, let's start with. Well, you know what? Our loyal listenership has been with us over the last month as we've detailed the nasty divorce between Sony and Disney. And sadly, it looks like the trial separation period did not work. There will be no reconciliation. Strangely, the same thing happened in my marriage.
I was just going to make
it's neither here nor there.
A Bill's marriage joke, yeah.
But it looks like, at least for the foreseeable future, Tom Holland's Spider-Man will not interact or exist in the MCU.
I'm sorry, I can't.
What, my marriage? Hey, listen, if you can't laugh at it, what are you going to do?
That's right. All right, I'm sorry. I'm good. Go ahead.
Tom Holland Spidey is not going to be interacting with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. He's going to probably show up in Venom sooner than later. I wouldn't even be surprised if they stung him onto the end of Venom 2, which is already filming. And then the big news, which actually I was really feeling, I've made my opinions clear. We don't have to go into it again. And so have you. I was pretty down about this news, and I still am. The number one scenario here is for Holland to be back in the MCU. But sort of making its way through the interwebs this week was rumors that Sony is considering a live-action Into the Spider-Verse sort of adjacent adaptation where not so much Miles Morales, although he might play a part, we would get a multiverse situation that would have Andrew Garfield, Tobey Maguire, and Tom Holland all appearing in the same movie as 3 different Spider-Men from 3 different universes, which I don't have any burning desire to see Maguire or Garfield again, but in that circumstance, it's really one of the only things Sony could do with Spider-Man that would really sort of intrigue me. I think it has the potential to be a fiery train wreck, but I'm intrigued. What say you?
Pass.
Wow, hard pass.
Hard pass. To me, it's like Into the Spider-Verse is a phenomenal movie. It's an animated movie. It's mainly based around Miles Morales. Yeah. If you're gonna do an Into the Spider, and maybe they're not doing Into the Spider. First of all, I hate it when I'm over this. Like, hey, we made a good cartoon. Let's make it into a live action movie now.
Right. Well, that's what they made a point to say. Like, we're using the term Spider-Verse, but they wouldn't be adapting that movie live action. This would be totally different. Like, okay. I don't know whether you get Miles Morales or not, but you're not getting Spider-Man Noir, and you're not going to get Spider-Gwen. You're not going to get Spider-Ham for sure.
Yeah. So to me, this is like Sony going, well, what's the only thing we can do that Disney
That's exactly
can't?
what it is.
I don't think there's any chance. I'm going to go out on a limb here, Bill. I don't think there's any chance that it will be executed well. I would, if this movie came out, I would wait the first week or two to see what people are saying about it before I spent my money to go see
Yeah, I
it,
think that's fair.
if I did. And then I might even just wait to see it at home because, listen, I mean, let's not pretend like the Amazing Spider-Man movies were something that everybody's yearning for.
No.
And I really don't want to see. I really don't want to see a Spider-Man that's my age either.
Right, but all I'll say is this: is when we were talking about all the Spider-Man movies, one of the redeeming things we did pull out of those two movies was that Andrew Garfield wasn't bad.
I think maybe you guys felt that way. I don't know that he was bad, but he wasn't Spider-Man. I mean, like, I don't need my Spider-Man to be cool and have great hair.
Yeah, I mean, he was certainly playing the ultimate version of Spider-Man.
I don't know. It's not something I need. It's not something I want. I don't like, that doesn't make me want to go spend my money.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't light me on fire either, but I'm so down on Spider-Man not being an MCU that it's at least something risky that I'd be willing to go, and check out. I mean, I don't know. This Venom movie could end up being great. I mean, they certainly have a ton of talent involved in it. So maybe I'll, in a couple of years, I'll be looking back like, well, it wasn't so bad. The Sony Spider-Verse is pretty cool. I don't think so, but maybe.
All right. So to close out the Spider-Man discussion today, are we still fuck Sony or are we shifting to a fuck Disney?
I think I'm still fuck Sony, just a little less harsh. I've read a bunch of things that is sort of, I kind of understand at least a little bit where they're coming from. I still don't think, I think they're overconfident, like you said. I still think they'll fuck it up, but I do also understand that he's their most profitable IP and they don't want to, he's back on his feet. They have a great actor playing him. They've been very vocal about how great Marvel has been, Kevin Feige in particular, in helping resuscitate the character. But I do understand them wanting to do it on their own. I still don't think it's the right decision or the decision that is in the best fan interest. So I'm still fuck Sony, but it's kind of like, instead of fuck Sony, it's kind of like fuck Sony. It's a little softer.
Yeah, I mean, you have a better chance of seeing Christ than to hear me say fuck Disney. So right. I'm still fuck Sony. Although, to be quite honest, like, I'm getting to the point now where it's like I don't even fucking care anymore.
Yeah,
I'm just like,
I mean, I care. Like, I care in that every time I think about all the groundwork they laid in Far From Home with Spider-Man being counted on in a post Iron Man world, that bums me out. I mean, is it something they can't recover from? No, of course it's not. But it bums me out. And it bums me out that, that Marvel just got like 200 characters back and I want to see them interact with Spider-Man. But, it is what it is.
Well, they're saying, so Apple might buy Sony, and they're saying if Apple buys Sony, then Spider-Man goes back to Disney.
How does that, just because Apple will be willing to do that?
I don't know if that's, I don't know. That's like I didn't like read the article. I just like saw the headline.
Oh, okay. I just Googled it. I get it. I get what happens now. So apparently part of the contract with Spider-Man's IP is that
change of ownership.
Yes. If Sony sells out to anyone, the Spider-Man rights automatically revert to Marvel.
Yeah. So I saw that today. And I thought that's what you were hitting me about on our rundown. And I mean, that could be the saving grace.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Everybody go out and buy Apple stock, pick it out front of Apple, buy Sony. Bill.
Yes.
Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah. So cool. Well, it's cool news. So it looks like RDJ is going to be reprising his role as Tony Stark way sooner than anybody even imagined. He'll be appearing, via flashback in Black Widow. I think this hasn't been confirmed, but one of the websites I was reading it off of is saying that they're going to repurpose scenes they shot for Civil War between Scarlett Johansson and Robert Downey that ended up being edited out of the movie. So it may turn out that he's not actually filming new footage. But either way, still pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be a moment where you get chills for a couple seconds to see him again as Tony Stark and in a Marvel movie.
And it makes sense, like especially if a lot of that movie takes place in the aftermath of Civil War, where she's sort of on the run. It'll make sense if there's a scene or two in there with him. That would be organic. I feel like the Black Widow movie is going to surprise people.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you what, it is cast out the ass.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people are kind of like about it, but I feel like that one could be sneaky good.
Also, not a lot to say about it, but the hidden stinger scene that Kevin Feige released.
Oh, so cool.
With Nick Fury. Yeah, I thought it was so cool. I watched it like 6 times. I wonder if they were doing that just to fuck around or if there was something going on.
Yeah, I think there had to be something going on. If you watch that whole take, like it doesn't seem like they're fucking around. For those that haven't seen it, the scene that we got at the end of Iron Man, which sort of launched the whole Marvel Cinematic Universe, was Nick Fury showing up and saying, "You think you're the only superhero in the world? I'm here to talk to you about the Avenger Initiative." That's the cut that ended up making the movie. So originally, one of the cuts they shot, which means that there had to be part of them that thought we might be able to use this, was Nick Fury saying something along the lines of gamma experiments gone wrong, radioactive bug biting people, mutants running around, and now I got you, pretending to be a superhero, something along those lines, where they make reference not only to Hulk but to Spider-Man and mutants. Which that's the big headline. I mean, there had to have been something on the table way back then, maybe a deal with Fox or something. I don't know. But I don't even think they would have filmed it if they didn't think they could possibly use it. And that would have been even crazy. I mean, just hearing the Avenger Initiative sending everybody into like a nerdgasm, I can't imagine what would have happened if that version of it went out.
Also, since we last recorded, so everybody, well, I don't know everybody, but all of us fucking nerds have been waiting to see who they're going to cast as Kate Bishop.
Yeah.
And they finally gave it to us. Bill, what'd you think of the casting?
I'm a fan.
So, Hailee Steinfeld.
Yeah.
I'm just hoping we don't have to listen to any of her music.
Yeah, that's the key. But Marvel is pretty good with that. The Transformers people let her put a song on the Bumblebee soundtrack. I don't think Marvel will do that. I think she's a really talented actress. Not so much singer, but I think she's a really good actress. I think she's really attractive.
Yeah, when did she get so hot?
Yeah, she's really hot. I thought she looked great in Bumblebee. I thought Bumblebee was actually sort of an underrated movie. But I really think it's a good role for her. She, not a lot of people remember, but when she was like 13 years old, she got nominated for an Oscar.
Yeah.
For True Grit. So this chick's got chops. I think it'll be cool to see Renner pass the torch, especially since we're going to get, to see that story told over 6 hours. And then Hailee Steinfeld is young. So, I mean, she could, get the torch passed to her in the Hawkeye Disney Plus series and then launch right to the big screen as the new Hawkeye, which could be really cool.
So, Bill, for the last item on our list here, I want to turn to the Bill and Frankie Pop Culture audience.
The loyal audience.
The loyal listeners of this podcast. And there's a lot of them.
Yeah. Some of them are crazy, but there's a lot.
Yes. Which ones are crazy?
I mean, read some of the responses.
Oh, okay. So I want to say to the listeners, go to Twitter at BF Eat Pop Culture. We want to hear who you think should be cast as Moon Knight.
Yes. This, more than a lot of the characters coming out, I feel like Moon Knight in particular, especially if they go with the dissociative personality disorder Moon Knight, which they should, the casting of this character is going to be paramount to the success of the character. So we want to hear who you think should play Mark Spector / Moon Knight. Tweet it at us, hashtag it Moon Knight or cast this Moon Knight. Let us know what you think.
Yeah, I mean, I'm interested to see what people think. Do they think they're going to go with a big, well-established name? Are they going to go old? Are they going to go young? Are they going to go with a nobody? Are they going to go with somebody that has like a little bit of a name? What are they going to do? I think this is not just an important casting for the character. I think this is a very important casting for the MCU.
Yeah, could be. I understand. I would understand if they wanted to go with somebody young and somebody not well known, just because whoever they sign, like, you always got to take into consideration here that they want to lock people up for multiple movies. And sometimes with really big names, that's not easy to do. That being said, Keanu Reeves is still my favorite.
All right, Bill. So since the last time we got together here, there's been some happenings in the world of professional wrestling.
Yeah, certainly has. WWE had a big weekend.
Yeah, WWE had a big weekend. Did you catch Clash of Champions?
So much like AW's, what the hell was their pay-per-view? All Out.
Yeah.
I did not catch it live. I watched it the next day, the Clash of Champions. And to be honest, it left me a little kind of disappointed. I was expecting better work. Wasn't a whole lot really intriguing that happened. I thought all the matches were fairly average. The two big notes were Luke Harper returning in the Eric Rowan Roman Reigns match, which is a welcome sight because I think he's like so underrated. He's such a good worker for a big dude. And then The Fiend appearing at the end of the Seth Rollins Braun Strowman match after Rollins had retained the title. Those were the big newsworthy things to me. Other than that, I didn't think there was a match that got to the 4-star mark. I don't know if you want to go through it match by match or you just give your thoughts.
No, I mean, so let me just explain my viewing situation for Clash of Champions. So I, of course, was watching the Eagles game. So Liam had the idea to get the to get the 2 TV action going. So we were 2 TV styles.
He's an innovator.
Yes. So I had Clash of Champions on the TV. I had the Eagles on the main TV with the sound. So we were kind of watching it with no sound. And I thought to myself, I'm going to watch it with no sound. If it looks really, really good, then I'll watch it with sound, Monday. But what I saw is exactly what you just described. It was like, I felt like all of the matches ended predictably.
Yeah.
I didn't see anything that made me think like, oh man, I gotta go back and check that out. I mean, like, you hit it right on the head. The 2 biggest things that happened were the Fiend showing up and Luke Harper coming back. I also am a big fan of Luke Harper. There was a while there where they were giving him a little push, and I thought they were actually going to do something with him, and then they kind of put him on the bench for like a year. I don't know why. There was something going on there because you could tell he wasn't happy about it because the way he was posting on Twitter. Every day he would just post, "It's Monday," you know what that means. But I was excited to see him come back, and then I thought about it, and I'm like, can they do something else with this guy besides put him with fucking Rowan?
Yeah.
So yeah,
Well,
I
I mean,
mean,
the whole storyline has been a gigantic clusterfuck. I mean, I feel like it had to originally have been supposed to end with Daniel Bryan versus Roman Reigns, and then midway through they didn't like the way it was going, and then decided they wanted Daniel Bryan to go babyface, maybe for SmackDown moving to Fox. So now I would be absolutely stunned if we didn't get a Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan versus Harper and Rowan match, which we're going to get that. But I mean, hopefully they do something with Harper and Rowan where it's not just them,
the Bludgeon Brothers.
Yeah, hopefully it's not just that. Hopefully I would rather them be like allies, but singles people. But we'll see. I mean, it was cool to see him back. I thought the way with how acrimonious his relationship back behind the scenes with WWE has been, I didn't think we'd ever see him again. So,
yeah, I mean,
cool.
Do you have any idea what was going on back there?
Well, no. Well, he requested his release. They said no. Not only did they say no, they froze his contract, which means because he was hurt, WWE has the option to freeze his contract, and he still has to work the remaining time of his contract after he gets back from injury, which is kind of like a big sort of a fuck you, like to him, and especially since they let other people go. I mean, they let Dillinger go, so I don't know why they wouldn't let him go. So I don't know. Maybe things have been repaired and he'll have a good run and re-sign. I don't know, but I certainly didn't think he'd ever be. He was pretty vocal about wanting to leave.
Yeah. So other than that, Clash of Champions. I mean, whatever.
I'd say
I didn't expect it to be great.
Yeah. The best match to me was probably Becky Lynch and Sasha Banks. But there's nothing I would say, hey, you don't need to watch the whole show, but go back and watch this match. There's nothing.
Next on the list, I would just like to remind everyone that go back and listen.
Yeah, here we go.
I told you all, I said, they're going to put the crown on Corbin. McMahon and Hunter love this fucking guy. And when they feel this way about somebody, they don't give a fuck what you or I or anybody else thinks. And this is a perfect way for them to push this guy without having him in the title picture, but giving him some sort of accolades. And that's exactly what they're doing. And he's not, listen, guys, he's not going anywhere.
Not only is he not going anywhere, he's not bad. Like, they pushed him to the title picture in the terrible Seth Rollins feud way too fast. Over the last month, he's been really good. Not only has he been a good heel, his work has been good. And I'm going to say right now, if Baron Corbin and Chad Gable had been on the pay-per-view, it would have been the best match on the pay-per-view, and it wouldn't have been close.
Yeah, that match was good.
It was the best match of Baron Corbin's career.
Now,
I'm not overselling it.
I have always said I don't like Corbin, but I don't like Corbin because he's good at what he does. I'm not supposed to like Corbin. He wears what he wears. He wears what he wears to bother you. It doesn't happen anymore, and people forget. What a heel is supposed to do to you is take away everything that you like. You like boots and knee pads and tights and flashy ring gear. He takes that away from you. You like flashy offense. He takes that away from you. That's what a heel does.
Although his finisher is awesome.
Oh, one of the coolest names for a finisher too. Yeah. End of days.
And his other signature move, the Deep Six, is pretty cool too.
But anyway, that's how I feel about Corbin. I don't like him, but I'm not supposed to like him.
Well, and if you go, same thing. If you go back and listen, like, I feel like I have the reputation for hating his guts, but like, I've maintained that I feel like he's at this point a really good upper mid card heel. I thought that way before he had the run with Rollins. I thought he just got pushed too high, too fast.
I think what they did is it was that time of year, right? And they were like,
yeah,
there were,
there was other people. There was other people.
Yeah, but I feel like that's the time of year where they try things and they see how they.
It was also just executed terribly. The writing was awful.
But I think that time of year, it's just like they try things and see how people react because so they know what to do going into Royal Rumble, WrestleMania season, and I think they saw it didn't work, and the people don't, but he will continue to be in the spotlight. And he should be, because Bill, let me ask you this. In WWE right now, name a better classic heel than Baron Corbin.
Well, I mean, Daniel Bryan when he's a heel. Kevin Owens when he's a heel.
Yeah, but Kevin Owens does heel thing like Kevin never does anything. People always still like Kevin Owens. Like, he can't get the crowd to hate him. The crowd hates Baron Corbin.
I think when Owens goes full heel, he can get the crowd to hate him. But
I think the only other person in the company, is my opinion, the only other person in the company that is as good as a classic heel as Corbin is Miz, and he might be the best at it in the business right now.
I'd also put Samoa Joe in there.
All right, Bill. So the dirt sheets.
The sheets, brother. Yeah. So not much going on, but the one noteworthy thing, which I thought was kind of cool, actually, is that NXT is going to USA soon. I think is it next week? It might be next week.
It's Bill, I think it's tomorrow. No.
It might be tomorrow.
I think it's tomorrow.
So either way, the one thing that they might need, at least to help them get on their feet, is they don't really have sort of like a signature star that's known to the wider television audience. More so, people that haven't tuned into NXT on the WWE network, because a lot more people have watched Raw or SmackDown than NXT. And one of the things I read is that Kevin Owens may be that guy. He's sort of run his course with Shane McMahon, God knows. And he's really kind of out of fresh rivals on SmackDown. And really Raw, I think he needs some fresh storylines. So I think bringing him over to NXT to help them launch that on USA could be really, really smart. And I certainly would not hate seeing Kevin Owens fight Johnny Gargano or not Ricochet, Velveteen Dream or Adam Cole. There's some really great matchups. So I think he's actually a perfect name to bring to NXT to help them get their foothold. If that dirt sheet item is true, I'm a fan.
That's not going to be the only place he is, though, right?
I think if he goes there, I think they're really going to try to keep the three things separate. Especially, they announced they're doing the draft on the second episode of SmackDown on Fox, because the first episode is going to be kind of just the extravaganza kickoff with all the people guest starring and stuff like that. But it seems like, especially with them being on sort of rival networks, the Raw and SmackDown rosters are going to be pretty separate. So I imagine they're going to want to do the same thing with NXT. I think at least at the beginning, you're not going to see a lot of crossover.
Yeah, so apparently Lesnar showed up tonight.
Yeah, he did. I was watching
and challenged Kofi.
Yep, they're going to the title match on the debut episode of SmackDown on Fox.
Yeah, so they didn't waste any time with that.
And if you go back, I don't know, episode like 3 of our podcast, I said he's either going to cash in and win the title right before SmackDown goes to Fox, or he's going to win it on that show. And I think I'm going to be right.
So Bill, this is important here. All right, we got to put ourselves over a little bit here. Let's just take a look at what's happening here.
Okay.
Brandon Stark becomes the king of the Seven Kingdoms.
Called it.
Correct. Brock Lesnar is going to fight for the WWE Championship on the first episode of SmackDown on Fox.
Nailed it.
Baron Corbin won King of the Ring.
Nailed it.
I gotta tell you, man, like, I hope the people listening to this podcast understand the credibility that we're building here.
Yeah.
I mean,
we should be getting paid more than we are.
This is not an accident.
No, we're smart.
All right, Bill. After a week hiatus, that felt good, man. I got in there. I got loosened up, limber pretty quickly.
Yeah, a lot of different news and notes hit. A lot of touch points. A lot of jumping around. A lot of different topics. Something for everybody. Really.
And that's what we try to do, right?
We're a variety pack.
Inclusive.
You get a lot of flavors.
Inclusive.
Yes.
So we're gonna get out of here.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go Neepies.
Yeah, me too.
Actually, I might read a couple comic books before I go to bed.
I'm going to watch probably 2 more episodes of Friends.
Okay, similar things.
I'm going to watch 2 more episodes of Friends and maybe masturbate to Jennifer Aniston.
Maybe.
Probably. Okay. It depends what Courtney Cox is doing in this episode. I mean, it could be either one. I just know it's not going to be Lisa Kudrow.
Safe to say.
Safe.
Hashtag safe.
I mean, in any Friends conversation, Phoebe's definitely number 6, right?
As far as who we'd have sex with?
No, as far as like the 6. God, get your head out of the gutter. As far as the 6 cast members, she's number 6. She's the least interesting by far.
Yes, easily. Not even close.
Right.
Okay, so we've all got our nights planned. We've got big nights ahead of ourselves, Bill. So we're gonna close this baby out. But before we go, I want to thank all of our listeners. Bill, we hit 2,000 followers on Twitter this week.
Amazing.
It is amazing, and I just want to say thank you to all of the great people and creators that we've met on Twitter for helping us get this thing to where we've gotten it to in such a short amount of time. People like the Laughter Life podcast with Adam McKay, at Laugh Life Adam, Killer Rabbit Pod, Grief Burrito. These are all people or podcasts that have Kylex Plays. These are all people that have really been with us since the first day I went on to Twitter and created the account. And they've helped us spread the word, and they've been super supportive, and we really appreciate it, guys. We wouldn't be able to be getting our content out to people on as wide a scale as we have been without you. So thank you so much. We really, really treasure you.
Namaste.
I also want to give a shout out to Top Rope Wrestling, which I think is a super cool idea. I'm excited about it. It's a wrestling show that's going to be on YouTube, I think, and it's basically Fire Pro Wrestling, the video game, and they've built up this roster over like 15 years of playing the game, and they're going to simulate pay-per-views on YouTube. And these guys are funny guys. I follow them on Twitter. I listen to their podcasts. It's going to be fun. It's going to be funny. And yours truly might even be involved a little bit too. So keep your eye out for that.
What?
And come visit us on Twitter at BF Eat Pop Culture. Follow us, come talk to us, ask us questions. We love interacting on Twitter. We have lots of fun with our Twitter followers and our Twitter family. Listen to us on Apple Podcasts. Listen to us on Overcast. Listen to us on Podchaser. We're on Podchaser now. It's a super cool app. And remember, subscribe, like, review, share, tell your friends. And if your friends don't want to listen, get new friends and have them listen. And that's all I got, Bill. How about you?
No, I think you covered it all.
With that, I'm going to end the show. Take it easy, Bill.
Later.
Be well, everybody.
Brought to you by the Odd Pod Squad.